Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight. And I am joined today with Sugey with Prominent Business. So thankful that you are here and so great connecting with you. And so I am just excited to learn more about your business and for you to share what it is that you do. I know the big alignment piece for me was you guys are really big on education. That's what we are really big on with Action Coach, and especially with this Business Spotlight. It's just sharing our knowledge and expertise to up and coming entrepreneurs and business owners and industry leaders. So, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know I was excited to meet you in person for the first time. So happy to, be part of, Megan or, Action Coach's world now.
Yeah, thank you. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you.
So, just to get us started, I would love for you to tell us just about your business and how long you've been doing this for.
Of course. So our business is Prominence Business and Wealth Management. We just shorten it to Prominence Business. Our physical office is located in Glendora, California, and we're in the process of opening up the second office out in Las Vegas, somewhere Henderson area. I am federally licensed, so we do have clients across the United States. I've been a tax preparer for about 20 years or so. And I worked for other CPAs. I worked for other, tax offices where I gained my knowledge on how to do tax returns, prepare them, and be the typical tax office of, it's tax season, get all the volume in. Here you go. See you next year. Kind of a business. When we opened Prominence about 4 years ago, I decided that we wanted to do something different. I have an investment background. I have investment licenses that I don't use to actually, manage portfolios. But what I do with that is I created a consultation that follows every single tax return that I prepare. So we really study the numbers. What are the numbers saying about you, your business? And what are they acquiring for you? So for example, I look at purchasing power. A lot of clients come in and they'll be like, well, I want to write off the kitchen sink. Well, if you want to write it off, great. But when you do things like that and you cross the street to go to the bank may deny you your first primary home, a rental property, a loan to acquire your office building, anything like that. And so what that does is then it throws you back and it limits your growth. And so what we encourage is let's look at the numbers. Let's go ahead and pay some taxes, but pay them with the purpose of acquiring that wealth or that growth. And so we evaluate the returns and really have clients think about what do they want? What are the goals? And are their returns and finances lining up with that? So it's not just here's your tax returns next year. It's really putting the client to think about, are these tax returns supporting you or are they hurting you? Kind of a deal. Our office is a lot more detailed about that.
Yeah. And like I said too, I just feel like that education piece to it is so important. And because again, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Right.
And so it's really that it's lending our expertise to say, hey, did you think about this?
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of like keeping that top of mind. With that, kind of going in that same lane, what would you say is something about your industry or your business that maybe is a misconception or maybe not well known?
So in our industry, taxes seem to be the one thing you dread, right? It's once a year, you're forced to do a tax return and you dread doing them and you plug in whatever, or you take a shoebox to your accountant and say, just do a tax return and here you go. It's something that since we don't like to do it or we all fear doing it, we ignore it as much as possible. In reality, what's happening there is you leave write-offs on the table. You're paying taxes sometimes with no purpose, meaning, did we do something? We have high earning individuals and they're like, gosh, I'm just so tired of paying all these taxes. And I'm like, well, we all are tired, but what are we doing about it is the real question. If we start to create passive income, and that passive income, we can make it tax-free, then we use that high earning to create something that is tax-free. That will allow you to have the opportunity of maybe retiring early, not working as much, not, maybe just doing something else that now you have freedom or control to do so, all because we paid attention to what those numbers are saying and allowing us to do and took advantage of them.
Yeah.
So I always tell my clients a lot of the times is, look, just tell Uncle Sam, you win today, but I'm setting myself up to win tomorrow and live tax-free. You always hear of, multi-millionaires, billionaires live, not paying a lot of taxes. And you're, well, how do they do it? Well, that's because they generate income off of passive income, dividends, things like that, that allow them to pay the minimal amount of tax on them. We go to work, want a paycheck, or we have a business and we write everything off. And so all of a sudden we can't go and do these things because we are limiting ourselves. And so my job is to educate the client and show them the missed opportunity, and then let them decide whether they want to start changing the way that their tax returns look, the way that they, take advantage of these opportunities. We will connect them to other people that will continue to guide them in that direction. All from discussing what those goals are. So we're definitely going to be different. A lot of the clients we get are always saying, no one's ever talked to me about this. No one's asked these type of questions. No one's really brought up these issues. And yet I do it with every single client that walks in because I just feel it's so important. I feel like the tax industry has led to believe you can do your own taxes. Yes, you can. But are you evaluating those numbers yourself and really looking at what are they saying and what can you do and take advantage of? That's the problem, right? That's the disconnect.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like we had talked about before, that's why within our organization and as business coaches, we are really big on, the numbers are the pulse of your business. That's your scorecard for how well you're doing, or maybe where there needs to be improvement. And then it's taking it that next step further of, okay, now go to somebody like you guys to really kind of keep up on that. So yeah, the numbers are everything, because otherwise, how do you know what's going on, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we fear the numbers because we don't understand them. In our education system, it's not really taught how to read those financials. So we don't know what they mean. And so because we don't know, we don't even know what to really look for. Everything looks foreign. And so what I liked about, Action Coach is that you talked about and you simplified formulas that we all should know as business owners. I see this in clients' bookkeeping sometimes. They're spending, $30,000 on Yelp ads or whatever.
Oh gosh.
And I'm like, well, how much, business did you really get from
what's the return?
Right. But they don't comprehend. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, is it really worth you spending this kind of money for the amount of business that you're getting, Yeah. And so, but they didn't even realize that they were spending $30,000 of dollars
like,
that was going into
little amounts.
Yes. And why? Because they weren't looking at them closely. And so when you point out the sore thumb, or when you point out the big problems or the issues, and they may not be problems. I don't like to say that because every business is different. But when you point out these, areas, they turn around and all of a sudden are like, is it really worth it? Can I maybe move these dollars to some other sort of marketing? Could they go to Facebook ads? Could they go to paying a marketing team that can physically do things for you and change the results of, your business? So again, it's just putting those dollars to better use. Those are the kind of things that we point out. with our clients in reviewing those numbers, whether we review them on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis.
Mm.
But wanting to know, are you really getting results from things like that?
Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. So one of the goals for this business spotlight is to really educate and inspire up and coming business owners and entrepreneurs. And so thinking on that, one thing I really was curious about was, can you share a time where you had a challenge in your business and you were trying to figure out how to navigate it? And so what was that challenge? And then how did you make it through it?
So we have challenges in our business all the time. Why? Because we don't stop growing. Okay. We are always looking for ways of working smarter, not harder. And so we've had to tweak the way we market. We've had to tweak the way we do business. We've had to, recreate our avatar. So there's always going to be challenges for us as long as we want to continue to grow. And with with that, every time it seems like we grow a little bit, the challenge gets maybe a little harder or a little more difficult to solve, right?
Mm.
But we access our tools. I'm really big on having a business coach. We've had one ever since we started the business. And one of the reasons I rely on a coach is because they will see what I can't see directly. It's like we always talk about being in the picture and they're out of the picture. So they will
Yes.
see things that necessarily I couldn't, right? And what I also am big on is having that brainstorm conversation where I can say ideas or things that maybe I want to try. But I don't know. So I'm just going to try them. A
Mhm.
business coach maybe has other clients that have tried that and didn't work, or has a better way of me doing that. So it supports those ideas. And so I rely a lot on those coaches. I've had a life coach as well, but the business coach for my business has always given me, I want to say, not easier routes, but ways of getting through getting from my destination A to my destination B a little bit smoother versus I would have tried 10 things. And with their guidance and their support, I only had to try 3 things or whatever.
Yeah.
So to me, that is huge value. I encourage, no matter how small or, how big you are, that you have this professional that you can bounce your struggles with, and get feedback, be open to that feedback.
Yeah.
I'm a numbers person, so I always wanted 1+1 to add.
Yeah.
But when I started working with coaches, it was just like, trust the process. And that was
And it's
huge.
hard.
No, it was hard. I didn't say it wasn't hard, but once you
Yeah. And
trust
you're
the
like,
process,
okay,
yes.
I guess.
And it was like so silly because I remember when I first started working with the coach, I just reminded myself of a little kid, and you're just like rolling your eyes like, all right, I'll do it just because you're telling me to do it, but this is not going to work,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then I would do it and I'd be like, how did this work? And then
Yeah.
they
How did you
just,
know?
yeah. So trust, a lot of it was trust the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we do, and that's what we pass on to our clients a lot of the times is, you have to trust the process. I'm an
Yeah.
expert in what I do, and I know that sometimes as business owners we just want to know it all,
Yeah.
and it's great. I want you to know a certain extent of it, but I don't need you to know the formula behind it, because it's not
Yeah.
important for you to waste your time or energy on it. Trust your professionals.
Mm.
And then, if they're giving you results, then trust that process, and let them do what they're good at so that you could focus in what you are an expert in your business, and continue to grow that. So I'm really big
Yeah.
on just trust the process and let the expert handle, what they're good at.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think for me too, I mean, obviously being a business coach, that is, a piece of it. But even as an entrepreneur, I was already in that mind of what does my A team look like?
Mhm.
What are those things? Because again, like you said, I'm really good at what I do. And yes, I really feel it's important as a business owner to have a knowledge of the different areas, but you don't need to be the expert, because
Right.
honestly, you're not going to be great at what you do and being great as the business owner if you're still trying to be the expert in everything else. And
Right.
so that's where I love to say, okay, so who's in your A team? And that's where we align with businesses such as yours to really say, because we are those pillars, we are that A team. And so it's really just figuring out, okay, so are we the right fit for this business? And then here's our recommendations for another person in that team. And are they going to be the right fit? And because again, there is that feeling of, oh, it's so alone at the top, but it totally doesn't have to be. And you'll do better off by not being,
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. That was one of the fears that I had was with growth, was I going to feel isolated? Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But when I find people like-minded, it's always going to be in masterminds like the one where I met you, others that I've attended, because we're individuals that are striving for more, and we're still there and we can have these conversations. I'm part of a mastermind group that we celebrate, the amount of money that we're making. And nowhere else can we talk about what our business is making, what we're making, because you feel like, oh, they're just showing off, or
Yeah.
I can't relate because they're there. And with this mastermind, that's what it's about. It's about celebrating whether you are making a little bit more than last month, making a little bit less, why, evaluating the real
Mm-hmm.
numbers, and then pushing each other. We're in this room with people that are making a lot more money than we are, and we're people with people that are not making as much. But I learn from all of them, and I learn that once you're making X amount of money and you have 15 or 20 or 30 employees, the headaches you're going to run into. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's pretty interesting, but I'm going to start applying that today when I have 2 employees versus
Mm-hmm.
when I have 30 and I'll have already that problem taken care of. So
Yeah.
it just depends, but not feeling intimidated and feeling like, um, why should we not talk about our celebrate our wins and share them with others and encourage each other to grow? So
Yeah.
I love attending groups that support that, and encourage each other to go out and get more. Why not?
Yeah. Like, let's go do more.
Yeah.
And also, who's going to come with me and help?
Yes, yes. But you really do need
Yeah.
a team around you. You need a team of other business owners that have the same drive. You need, your good, accountant, bookkeeper, whatever, your tax person, your financial advisor, a good attorney, your marketing team, your coaches. So it really does take a village to support you in your dream. But
Yeah.
when you do that, I also feel that when as you're getting there, you feel so supported because you have a team of individuals that you can turn to when you feel whatever it is that you're feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you build these friendships with these people, and they support you along the way. So I just think clear-minded, you could focus, you can dedicate your energy to where it is that you're going and the growth that you want. So I definitely don't feel like it's lonely, as you grow. Not at all.
Yeah. I love
Just have
it.
to
I
find the
love
right
it.
people.
Exactly. Find the right people, find the right rooms. Like
Hmm.
that's what it's about. And that's definitely big on our Hearts at Action coaches, is that is what we do with our memberships and with our action board, is it's creating those rooms for you as the business owner to go into, to find those like-minded people, to say, hey, I'm struggling with this. Is anybody, has anybody experienced this yet?
Yeah.
What did you do? And also, hey, I have this massive win that I want to celebrate, and maybe I don't have other people in my life that I can do that to. And I do, feel like that is so important,
Yeah.
because then that, just like you said, it just allows you to really like, oh, okay, what I'm doing is good. I'm on the right path and I'm learning more, and it's okay to celebrate me, and I don't need to be anything less than that.
I
So
agree with
especially
you.
as women, like we're not doing that anymore.
Well, as women, it's really hard. What society has brought us up to believe, I always had this bad mom, idea that because I'm doing great in business, that I'm failing somewhere
Mm,
else. And obviously, as a mom, as a wife, a partner, a daughter, there's so many roles that we play. And yes, we take attention away from all of those, but it doesn't make you bad. It just, you're just not there as much as maybe you want to be. But if you have your business set up, you could dedicate more time to it. So that's
yeah.
also, a plus. But finding that balance, and that's the journey that I've been in, for the last year or so, is really finding that work home balance and
Mm,
saying it's okay. Like, it's okay for me to go home earlier. It's okay, if I just want to take the day off or do whatever, and not feel guilty about it,
mm, mm.
last year, towards the end of the year, I hired, you know, my first, she helps me clean my house. And I felt so guilty about that. And why? Why?
Yeah.
Why would I feel guilty about someone helping me, clean my house? But when I sat down with my coach and I told her, I dread going home. And she's like, why? And
Yeah.
I'm like, because I got to go home. I got to do the dishes.
She's
I got
like,
to
no.
clean bathrooms. And then she's just like, well, have you ever thought of hiring someone to help you? And I was like, oh God, no, I do all of that,
You're like, I do
Yeah,
everything.
but why? Why?
Yeah,
And when
yeah,
she asked me why,
exactly.
I was just like,
Hmm.
because I'm supposed to.
Because, yeah.
I didn't have an answer. It was because I'm supposed to, right? Who
Mhm.
says you're supposed to? And
Yeah.
so when I really stepped back and looked at that and hired someone to help me for the very first time, I was like, this is amazing. I can go home and really dedicate time to being with the kids, really
Yeah.
dedicate time to watching a movie, doing something that didn't require more work after you get off work,
Yeah. Yeah.
such a life
I love
changing.
that.
Again, I'm looking for this great invention. It was just like, someone help you. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. Well, and I think that is just such a great, piece of advice too, because oftentimes as business owners, it's, well, we're focusing on, okay, well, how are we building our team in our business and what are we doing there? But really, there's also that personal element. And it's, I like to call them MWAs, they're minimum wage activities. And what is it that you just really don't have time to do? And that it would make more sense for you to hire that out. And it could very well be something that you truly enjoy doing. Like maybe
yeah.
you love gardening, maybe you love cleaning the house because that's your therapy. And also, do you actually have time? Is that taking away from you being amazing and being the expert in your business? Or is it taking away from you being the wife or the mother that you truly want to be?
Mhm.
And if that's a yes, it's not worth it.
Right.
And
It
so it's
really
really
isn't.
just kind of, again, shifting that mindset of, I don't need to do it all. I can do it all. I'm totally capable.
Right.
And also, is there something that's going to not get the best me by trying to do all of that and spreading myself so thin?
Yes.
So I
I
love
think
that.
that's the balance that you're looking for. Stop spreading yourself so thin. Um, I always blamed the business for me not being there, but didn't realize that it wasn't just the business. It was the fact that I had to go grocery shopping. It was the fact that I had to go, do the laundry, that it was the fact that I had to clean the bathrooms. It was the fact, all these other things that you're like, it's not just the business that's taking me away. It's all these other responsibilities that we have. And so I'm like, I don't have to do that anymore. I choose
Yeah.
not to. And I choose to, instead of having to do that, then I get to go, hang out with my mom or hang out with my sisters or do something, where it doesn't have to be the chores
Yeah.
that that I assigned myself, because I don't know who
Yeah.
assigned them to us.
Right. I love that. Well, it's been so wonderful, Sue, to get to know you even more and learn just about your business and just sharing all of this insight and advice that I know someone watching this is going to be
Yes.
like, oh my God, thank you. Yes, I needed to hear just that. So,
Yes.
um, yeah, thank you again so much
No,
for doing this
thank you
business
for having
spotlight.
me.
And just to kind of wrap up, do you have any offers or anything that you wanted to touch on within your business that you would like to share?
So within our business, we're always, we're here to help the individuals that have an established business. I always say, 6, 7 figures and are ready to just not wear all the multiple hats. We give you permission, reach out to us and stop wearing that hat where you have to deal with the bookkeeping, the accounting of your finance of your business, and have a tax return that really works and supports for you. So, if anyone out there that is listening to that is just struggling with that, hates, dreads doing their taxes, reach out. We can have a consultation, show you a better way, and, give you the permission of not wearing that hat anymore.
Yes, thank you.
For
Oh
sure.
man.
Well, thank you
Yes.
so much for having me. It's always a pleasure sharing and learning from, like I said, like-minded people.
Yeah, thank you again. And this has been another Business Spotlight.